Welcome to How to Yu-Gi-Oh!
Top 10 Worst Archetypes of 2025.
Chapter 1.
So in this video, I'm going to talk about the worst archetypes of 2025, why I consider them the worst archetypes of this year, and just how they just haven't performed. With that being said, let's get on with the rest of this video.
Chapter 2.
So overall, what do I want to say in this conclusion? That I believe the worst archetype is heroes. I think I've said it, just a bit before. There's so much potential for heroes. Evil heroes had just so much going for it, yet it just flopped, and it's just wasted potential. And this is why, and this is all I've got to say when it comes to the worst archetypes of 2025. And I think that's it. Tune in next time as I talk about more things on this channel. Hope to see you soon.
Chapter 3.
At number 9, we have Punk. Punk, with the new support it got in Battles of Legend, right, is an archetype in OCG has been doing wonders. It's got a generic Omni Negate. It's got things here that can that can go places. Unfortunately, in TCG, it falls flat simply because of the time rules. Although we do have new time rules that have been coming soon, I believe they'll be implemented, after Worlds, so we're not sure about this. But anyways, apart from this, change to the rules, which will be implemented sometime next year or late this year, who knows when they'll be implemented. The point is that Punk in general in TCG has fallen flat, when in reality that's not the case. It's a very good archetype with their recent new support, and in OCG it's been doing really well, and I believe in TCG it would have done well if it wasn't for current time rules. Okay, let's move on.
Chapter 4.
And at number 8, we have The Man with the Mark. Odeon's support that's been updated earlier this year in the Maze set, with the Aphosis, Trap, etc. This was an archetype that did not too hot. While, yes, it did win a regionals, but, this is not the best archetype here, and this is why it's number 8. Sure, it's gone something, it's won something, but this was more to do with the fact that the playstyle of this deck, no one knew about it. The moment the playstyle was proliferated and the moment people knew about this archetype, it didn't top any events again. So yeah, this is why it's at number 8. It's still relatively good, but it's with a grain of salt. Let's move on.
Chapter 5.
And here we have it. At number 7, we have Argostars. And here's where we start to see a familiar trend of archetypes just not delivering on the competitive scene. Argostars is one of these archetypes, and why I would consider it one of the 7th worst archetypes of 2025 that have come out in a set. So what's wrong with this archetype? Well, the thing is, it's a bit slow. And it's really slow with not a clear play style. Now, there's nothing wrong with the play style, but unfortunately, in 2025, this archetype is just too slow, and the playstyle is just not good enough. In order to make this playstyle good, or to make it playable, or to make it work, you have to play a lot of toxic floodgates. And and these toxic continuous floodgates are limiting this deck's power and not really potential, but mostly power. And with the power limited from the get-go, Argostars was failed from the start. This is a sort of gameplay deck that just can't work in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Now, especially with floodgates now completely vanished, the trap floodgates anyway completely vanished from the scene. As in TCG now, a lot of the good flood trap continuous floodgates are banned, limited, so it's not really worth it to be playing this sort of deck now. Let's move on.
Chapter 6.
And so here we go. At number 6, Jurrac. Jurrac got new support in the Battles of Legends set, and indeed, this is another thing that is even worse than Argostars. Argostars at least has a clear play style. Jurrac, well, there's really nothing that we're doing. This is the forgotten child of dinosaurs. Apart from Jurrac Alio, I believe that did something in the dinosaur soup, dinosaur, Link, nonsense. Jurrac Stereo, with this, I mean, it just doesn't do anything. The problem isn't that the playstyle is bad. The problem is that it's confusing. Sure, destroy everything, but what are we expecting like a playstyle that is broken in 2025? Well, yeah, but not really. We're expecting a playstyle to go somewhere or to go into something. But Jurrac, it's all about destruction, but not about payoff. And it's a bit lacking, especially in 2025, considering what archetypes do now, considering turn 0 being a common thing now, being done healthily, by the way. So yeah, that's why it's at number 6. Let's move on.
Chapter 7.
And here we have it. At number 5, Fabled. Fabled got new support this year. Now, Fabled is one of these archetypes that the reason why it's high on the list is, first of all, it's a bit confusing, right? Because Fabled has a lot of potential. Potential is there. The potential for greatness. Especially in OCG, they have all the banned cards that we don't have available now, as they have all the generic negates, omnis, and things like that. There's ingredients and there's a lot of things to make this deck shine. In fact, one of the earliest builds was Yummy Fabled. So what went wrong here? What has gone wrong? Why has Fabled not been able to top anything? I think in OCG, did it top anything? I think, was it a locals? It's really, really bad, right? It's shocking. This has not topped anything of significant note, possibly in OCG, but in TCG, it has been complete and utter failure, right? Absolute failure. Loads of potential, loads of things, but just amounting to nothing in TCG. Wasted potential. It's why it's high on the list. It's pure and utter disappointment, as a lot of players had high expectations, especially in TCG, for Fabled, right? The new support is good. Let's not say it's the best, but even as an engine, even as just some spam or whatever, like there was things that were being cooked here. There was some nice meal that was being made here, but unfortunately, it just did not. It failed to deliver. It failed to do so, and with higher expectations, that's why it hurts ever more so deeply, and why it's at number 5. Let's move on.
Chapter 8.
And at number 4 is the Morganite. Spells. Now, when we look at Morganite, I remember when Morganite was announced, there was a lot of things going for this archetype. And let's not kid ourselves, especially when we saw K9 and things like that with the new format we'd be going into. Morganite was looked into, especially with the new supports, monsters, spells, and everything else for Morganite. Things were looking up. Things were looking very optimistic for Morganite. After all, it could deal with, let's say, K9, as they don't activate loads of monster spells, as you could just activate board breaker spells. Given the fact that we'd be going into a board breaking format, which we're in right now, Morganite was looking pretty hot, right? It was looking pretty good. The stars were aligning and everything was going well for Morganite. But unfortunately, when it comes to TCG, And even in OCG, it failed to deliver. Now, OCG, we have all these, obviously, floodgates, all the negates, everything to succeed, yet we still fail. So what's going on here? As we do not see topping any list in OCG, Morganite, or anything of the sort. In TCG, again, we just see failure, right? We have the Dominus cards. We have at full, we have all of them. We have all these things, yet it just fails, right? And it goes to show that board breaking and just board breaking does not make a good deck. And that's literally what Morganite is. So I think it was hype from the community, but hype which was completely unwarranted. Hence why it's at number 4 with no achievements. We'll say the 4th worst archetype in 2025. Let's move on.
Chapter 9.
And at number 3 is RB, a TCG exclusive archetype, and I'd say the 3rd worst archetype. Now, you look at this and say, the expectations for this was high. After all, earlier this year we had Mitsurugi, right? Mitsurugi, a ritual TCG exclusive archetype that delivered. Not only delivered, but was paired with Ryziel to become the best deck of the format. In fact, of the year. And I included this, I think, in the top 10 best archetypes 2025 with Ryziel, Mitsurugi. But yeah, so you know the expectations are high when RB is out. And we look at RB, and indeed, that's the case, right? RB, the Brute Blues, RB, when we look at the play style, there's loads of things that can be done here. There's loads of potential. And the fact that we can cheat out a lot of things, again, there's a lot good here. There's a lot to be cooked with this. But part of the problem is not really the locks, but what are we doing, right? What are we doing here? The attack points are low. And yes, while it is true we could go into some nice things, but the criteria of extra deck machines we can go into with the lock is relatively low. Now, while yes, we did say, I think as a community, we were saying that there's not enough monsters, so there's still, a way to go. But I think like the potential for RB is a bit lost as a TCG exclusive. I don't think it's gonna go anywhere this year, and I think definitely it warrants that, saying that in 2025, it definitely should stand at number 3. The third worst archetype that has come out in a set this year. Loads of potential has been dashed and completely destroyed. There was things expected of RB being a TCG exclusive archetype. I mean, we did have a TCG exclusive archetype, which was Mitsurugi, and that performed extremely well. So I think the expectations were extremely high for RB, another TCG exclusive archetype in a set from Duelist, or was it Duelist Alliance? But it ended up just failing. And so that's it. Let's move on to the top 2 worst archetypes and going to number 1.
Chapter 10.
At second place is Artmage. Diactorus, right? See, as you can see in front of you. Now, I look at Artmage, right? I looked at this archetype, I looked at its playstyle, and I'm just like, what is going on here, right? What is going on? What the hell is going on here? Right? We have a play style of just destroying cards your opponent controls. How are we getting to this? A lot of the plays in these earlier lists, a lot of archetypes in the earlier list, why they're so low and why they're not so bad is that even though there's potential in them, the play style is there, it makes sense. There is some sort of cohesion. There's just something missing. There's a missing link. But when you look at Artmage, like, there are some effects of cards in there which are completely pointless. Why do we have a continuous spell that makes it so that anything can become any type or attribute. And we have a boss monster that destroys everything the opponent controls. But then why do we have a monster like Artmage, the Taurus, that changes the effect of the boss monster to destroy everything? And then another thing as well, why is it that we have no way to facilitate our boss monster easily? And then another thing, like the more you start looking at Artmage, the more problems just start to follow. We don't have potential. We just have a series of effects on cards, and with no cohesion, with just no way of knowing. And yeah, sure, you can make the boss monster in Artmage. Can we say relatively easily? I guess relatively easily is an understatement. It's a practical chore to make this boss monster. It's not easy at all, even for whatever standards. And then even with the new support that's coming in a future set, it doesn't address the issue that is Artmage. Again, Artmage completely, utterly fails. And I know a lot of you are gonna say, but yeah, in the latest American YCS, it topped to regionals. It did something. I was like, how? Honestly, I looked at that list, I didn't understand it. And I think part of it was the list topped because it didn't play like Artmage. It basically used Artmage to play Azamina stuff, as it made a monster an illusion, and then that was it. But here's the thing. If you've got to use an engine, right, a very subpar engine, to then make another good engine, there's something wrong. Part of the reason why I think I talked about this and in the previous top 10 best archetypes 2025, why Fiendsmith works, as it enhances other decks that it plays. It buffs and enhances the playstyle of other decks. It gives those decks something extra and it enhances their plays. Artmage does the opposite. When you put it into a deck, it makes that deck actively worse. It doesn't bring anything to the table, right? It is a negation amplifier. It's just wow. It's wow, guys. Yeah, I definitely see Artmage failing. And in fact, I don't see this archetype doing anything this year, next year, or any other years. And the top that it has, I believe, is the miracle top that we will not see happen ever again. I believe there are other archetypes that have come out that will do way more than Artmage will ever do, now and in the future. And that's it. Let's go to our worst archetype of 2025. Chapter 11. And we come at number 1, the worst archetype of 2025, Heroes. Heroes got new support at the beginning of this year. The potential was extremely high. Heroes are missing a lot of things, let's not kid ourselves. So why is it, after this support, and after so much potential, and after really influencing or improving evil heroes, why is it Heroes as an archetype just is failing? What is going on? And I think part of the reason being is that there's a lack of direction in Heroes, right? There is so much potential, but there's very little direction. Hero is sub-branched into several hero sub-archetypes, and each sub-archetype just doesn't do anything. And while Evil Hero has had them as a sub-archetype now that has been boosted the most with the current support, and is seeing, I think is one of the best supported sub-archetype hero branches that we've got now. But again, there's lacking something. And yeah, sure, there is a way to homogenize and put them all together, but they do not work as a whole because their sub-archetype support has not been supported enough. Heroes, Destiny Heroes, Evil Heroes, and Vision Heroes, along with whatever other subtype heroes, are just not supported enough individually to support Heroes as a whole. if each sub-archetype of hero is not supported well, then even if you homogenize them or put them all together, then nothing really works. And this is such a shame because heroes have potential, and it is seen there by the player base. Especially with evil heroes, the fact that we can use them to go into Fiendsmith lines, there's potential. But this is the problem with heroes at the moment. Heroes just at the moment, and this is why I consider them to be the worst archetype of 2025, is that it just has potential. The problem is potential doesn't save archetypes. Potential doesn't help you to become the best. And that's what hurts even more about heroes. Because there is something here. There's something here, especially with evil heroes. Konami was cooking something. They just didn't have enough time to cook more. Evil hero Neos Lord, as you can see in front of you, is a good monster. And I think one of the best hero boss monsters we've had in Yu-Gi-Oh! History. And there's just not enough to make him to make his effects or his playstyle worthwhile. Evil heroes need more support. And I think heroes in general, there needs to be a sub-archetype that Konami focuses on and gives it its full undivided attention and support it to the letter. And I think that's it. Let's head on to the conclusion.
Final chapter.
So overall, what do I want to say in this conclusion? That I believe the worst archetype is heroes. I think I've said it, just a bit before. There's so much potential for heroes. Evil heroes had just so much going for it, yet it just flopped, and it's just wasted potential. And this is why, and this is all I've got to say when it comes to the worst archetypes of 2025. And I think that's it. Tune in next time as I talk about more things on this channel. Hope to see you soon.
We come to the end of this video. So, as I like to say, you are one step closer to becoming a Yu-Gi-Oh! Master. My fate, right, is in your hands.